Welcome to Kevin Deal Photography, where I take you on my journey through photography. On today's episode, we're going to be doing an in-depth review of the Fotodiox Warrior 300 XR. I hope you're enjoying this episode, and if you like my style, I highly encourage you to check out my F11 Photography Podcast. It's a weekly podcast where we discuss all in-depth things photography related. I'll leave a link in the description below where you can check us out on both Apple and Spotify, but now back to today's episode. Welcome to today's episode. If you're not familiar with Kevin Deal Photography, we do gear reviews, tips, techniques, and tutorials, and sometimes we dive into film. If any of that sounds appealing to you, click the subscribe button below. So if you're a subscriber of this channel, you know that I work with LED lights and do LED light reviews regularly. However, this is the very first of the Fotodiox lights I've ever reviewed. I was at the WPPI show in Las Vegas. I ran across their booth and I saw these Warrior lights. They came in two varieties. They make a 300D, which stands for daylight balance, which is stuck at 5600 Kelvin. And then they have the XR, which is what we're looking at right here, which is bicolor. The range on this is 2700 to 6500 Kelvin, which is the range that you need to pretty much match it to any major type of light. Tungsten, daylight, cool, fluorescent. You're good to go with the Warrior 300 XR. But the other cool thing about the 300 XR is you can actually take it out into a downpour and have rain fall on it, which is where it separates itself from other lights. And of course, if you're gonna make something weather sealed, it's not gonna come in at the $300 or $400 price point, it's gonna come in at about $1,000 price point in US dollars. But when you think about the fact that you can go take this on set in a downpour and you don't have to worry about rushing off the set with your light, I actually think that makes it pretty cool. You can even use some of the effects built into it, like lightning, and make a lightning storm and put this out in the actual rain. Another thing to keep in mind while watching this review is that if 300 watts isn't the right match for you, they also make a 150 daylight version of this light, and they make both daylight and bicolor versions in 200, 600, and 1000 watts. Now, Fotodiox was nice enough to give me this Easy Pro 40-inch beauty dish. It does not come with the unit, but I wanted to do some testing with it today with the model. They do give you this really nice reflector, which increases your light output by about a stop. It's got kind of a cool banker green finish to it. I've never really seen that before on a reflector. They're usually black. I've never actually given somebody kudos for aesthetics of a reflector, but this actually looks pretty cool. One cool feature about this light is it has 50,000 hours of rated life. Well, you think 50,000 hours is a long time. That's 5.7 years of continuous usage. That means that if you took this light and turned it up all the way and left it on for 5.7 years, your electric bill might not be a lot of fun, but the light should survive that long. I don't know about you, but if I use this light for an hour a day, I can probably drag it out over a lifetime. So that's pretty cool. They definitely build it robustly. It also has wireless DMX built into it, including DMX right here. And as you can see, these are all waterproof, weather sealed adapters, weather sealed caps. And if you're not sure what DMX is for, you probably don't use it. But for those of you who want to learn something today, you would use DMX on a theatrical set. So maybe you have an ETC console or a Chamsys console or something like that, and you need to hook your broadcast lights up into your house lights or your theatrical lights. You can actually tap this into your DMX universe, which is great. It has an internal fan for cooling. It also comes with an app, which is really cool. Fotodiox made a very easy to use app, and I'm gonna show you how to use that app right now. So the app can be downloaded at all major app stores. At present time, the name of the app has Chinese writing on it. Rest assured, when you open the app, it is in English if that's your primary language. So you can download the app at all major app stores. Let's open it up. Let's go through the process. Looks like there might be a little bit of translation issues on this. So as I can see a monolight icon in the upper left corner and it says focus. Obviously we would say monolight or something like that. And when I click on it, I see a 300X. This is a 300XR, so just so you know, make sure you do that. Make sure you also select English. We'll hit 300X and we'll click the search device and nothing happens. That's because the device needs to be on. Then when the device is on, you click search device And you see it in the upper part. It says Warrior 300 XP. And you click on it. And then you'll start trying to use it. You're like, cool, I'm in CCT mode. I'm going to turn it up and down. And nothing happens. That's because you first have to click on the address. Note what address it's on. And then in your app, you need to click the address settings. I just click the all button twice and then go back to my CCT, and now all of a sudden it starts working. So you have to do this every time you turn on the light. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're going to control it from the app. It's not that big of a deal, but I would like to see them improve it in future firmware updates to where it just remembers the last address everything was on, everything synchronizes, and you don't have to actually go there. But now we've gone over one of the 6 icons in the app. Address settings. That's where you set your address. We also have DMX right next to that, which we're not going to use because I don't have a theatrical console to hook this up to, but that's what you would use to set your DMX address for the light. Chances are, if you are interested in using DMX on this, you already know how DMX works and you already know how to address DMX. So we're not going to go into that. Language, we've already gone over. English, Chinese, those are the 2 languages. There is a fan, which, by the way, I've used this fan in a session where I had it at 100%. The light doesn't get too hot. I mean, it gets warm. It's a 300 watt light, but it's not like something that'll burn your hand or, when you touch the modifier or the end of the light. But it does get warm if you have it at full blast and you're using it for several hours. The fan also isn't that loud. On high, it might get picked up by microphones. I tend to just set it on auto and I rarely hear it get up to high. Now we're down to the last 2 icons. We have CCT, we'll go over that first. You have your intensity, you have cool, you have warm, pretty straightforward. And then you have your effects. So now we have lightning. You can change the speed, you can change the intensity, you can change the color temperature if you want cooler lightning, which I probably would want cooler lightning over warm lightning because that's typically how it looks. You have fireworks, you have a flash, etc. Breathing, police. The police one's kind of interesting because a police car would typically have red and blue lights. This obviously is a bicolor light. It's not RGB, so I'm not sure how effective that would be. SOS, it sends out a distress signal. And then you have a faulty light, turn lamp, paparazzi, a screen, and high beam. So pretty standard effects. Honestly, I'm probably never going to use them. I'm just going to use this light mainly for CCT, but that's how the app works. It's pretty straightforward. It's a free app, I should add. And so go ahead and check out a link in this episode and you can download the app today. So as you can see, the app was super simple to use, but let's go test this guy out in the field and see if the 300 watts is marketing or if it actually puts out a full 300 watts. With the purchase of a Warrior light, Fotodiox does provide a very rugged carrying case that matches the quality of the rugged chassis of this lighting system. So there is an external power supply with a handle for easy transport. There is a cable that has male on one end and female on the other, so do mind the gender and pay attention to which end it is going into. To power the light, first push the switch on the external power supply, then push the secondary power switch on the light itself. As you can see right here, the construction of it is super rugged. The chassis is very well put together. The yoke mount, the lugs, everything on this looks super well constructed. And as you can see right here, as I tested it out for stills, I had my ISO at 400, my shutter speed at 1/125th, and I had my aperture at f4. If you're doing stills, you're doing like product photography, you're doing headshots, things that don't require motion, I think that you could absolutely use this light for stills if you're, 1 to 2 meters away with your modifier. If you're trying to do fast motion, I can't recommend this. And to be completely fair to Fotodiox, they don't really market this light toward that. But what they do market the Warrior XR as is a remote video light that can get bright. So I took the Warrior XR to a park near my house in the 11 a.m. harsh sunlight, and I wanted to see how bright this got. I used the included reflector, and I set it up using my R5 with my C-Log 3 settings, so you can see the settings down below, and this is with the Warrior off. Now, I went ahead and turned it on, and you can see what it looks like at 1 meter versus 2 meters. As soon as I turn that on, wow, what a difference that makes. So, as you can see right here, it works perfectly fine as a remote light. It absolutely gets the job done for remote work, but let's see how well this light does for professional work. I was hired to shoot a 2-day campaign for an apparel company that makes clothing for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu athletes. We tested out the light extensively for 2 days, 8 hours a day at full blast, and for both the horizontal and vertical social media content, I gotta say the Warrior delivered. The client was happy and it produced professional results. Okay, so now that I've had some time under my belt with the Warrior 300 XR, what are my thoughts? Overall, I think it is incredibly versatile. I think that it is incredibly valuable, and I think the quality is great. I think that if you are the right customer for this, you're going to feel like you got your money's worth. Let's run through the pros and the cons of this unit. So, what are some pros? Obviously, it gets really bright. You could take it outside, you can crank it up, and it'll be useful as a key light, even if you have a backlit, kind of sunny area, not a problem. I think the color reproduction, its accuracy, its rating, I think it has the CR rating of greater than or equal to 96. So the color reproduction on it is going to be great. And obviously the fact that it's bicolor means that if you're in the shade, if it's golden hour, if it's daylight, you can obviously match your settings. And of course, when you go inside, you can match things like tungsten and all that. The fact that it's weather resistant, you may be looking at the price tag and thinking, man, that seems a bit steep, but it really isn't, because when you compare this light to similar lights that have similar features, they tend to be much more expensive. Another thing that I really liked about this light is I have tested out other 300 watt LED lights, and they tend to run really hot. Obviously, over the years, people would encourage you for your house to buy LED lights because, they don't get very hot. But those lights are a small fraction of the amount of output that's being put out by these 300 watt lights. And so the Warrior 300 XR is very powerful, but I don't feel like it gets very hot to the touch. I also don't find that the fan is too annoying on it. And that's obviously good if you're on a movie set and you don't want it to be overpowering your microphones. That would be really bad. Another thing that stands out is the amount of accessories they give you. Not only do they give you a ton of accessories, they give you a nice carrying case for it. They even give you 5-pin DMX cables. And these are not cheap 5-pin DMX cables. They're actually very well put together. I come from the world of pro audio and lighting, and I can tell when companies cut corners on their cables, and this feels like a quality cable. It even comes with a safety cable in case you want to permanently install it. Another pro of this light is that it can be used remotely with V-mount batteries. Now, it is a little on the heavier side, and when you add the V-mount batteries, it obviously gets even heavier, but you can get several hours of usage out of this light with 2 V-mount batteries. So we put that under the pros because that's something that you would want to have if this were truly a professional light. I gotta tell you that the construction quality on this is super robust. I don't feel like they really cut corners on anything, from the paint to the design to the lugs, etc. I think they did an incredible job. And where they really impressed me the most was on their connectors. They use Neutrik connectors, and if you're not familiar with what Neutrik connectors are, if you are in the pro industry, the pro audio, pro video, pro lighting industry, anytime you plug anything into something that's super professional, it uses a Neutrik connector. It is the industry standard. Now, I don't really see a lot of lighting companies using Neutrik connectors unless the price has a comma in it. So the fact that this is a sub $1,000 light, and they are utilizing Neutrik connectors throughout, that lets you know that Fotodiox did not cut corners on the construction of this light. So in that sense, you can buy with confidence. But let's also talk about the things that maybe could be improved upon, or depending on who you are, could be a con. And while I talked about how robust and rugged this light is, it is also incredibly heavy, especially when you have it set up as a full system. When you put this in its case, it's about 30 pounds. Now, I can lift 30 pounds. I'm not a weakling or anything, but when you're trying to take this somewhere remote, if you don't have a team with you to help you carry things out there, and you're just trying to take this light and run and gun with it and be fast and set up in remote locations really quickly, I don't really think it'll do that for you. Now, in all fairness to Fotodiox, I don't really think they're going around advertising that that's what this is. You see in all the image examples, this thing is set down on a C-stand or something like that, and it's very anchored in. And so it's kind of supposed to be there all day long for the scene that you're shooting or whatever. But I just wanted to make sure that if you're in the market for this light and you look at this light and you think, oh man, that looks kind of small and kind of light, that's not actually true. It's not light at all. If you want to save a little bit of overall weight as a system, you could go down to the 300D. I think the light fixture is actually close to the same weight, but the total package weighs less because it doesn't have that really robust external power supply that this one has. And so you could save a little bit of weight there. You can obviously save $650, especially if you don't need the IP rated aspect of it. Another con is that yes, this is a $1,000 light and that should be celebrated, but if your intention is to purchase this light for remote use, keep in mind that the 2 V-mount batteries that you need to buy for it total out to about $880. I think it's $440 a piece. So you add $440 times 2, that's $880 on top of $1,000. So this $1,000 light becomes an $1,880 light if you actually want to use it not plugged into a wall. And so that's something to keep in mind. Now, if you're a seasoned veteran in this industry, you're like, yeah, V-mount batteries are what we get. They cost what they cost. But if you're just looking to get into this whole professional side of things, that is a cost that you have to consider. And of course, if you don't have the budget for it, that's a con to you because it's going to make this unattainable at the present time. So who should purchase this light? Well, purchase if you're looking for a professional light that has DMX, that is IP rated, that can use V-mount batteries, that can work on set with a crew, can sit there all day, take a beating with the IP rating and the sun and the dust and all that. If you're not moving the light around much, you want precise white balance control. You want the nice rugged chassis and construction, professional nitric connectors and all that. And you want to do it for less than $1,000 for the light unit. Then this is the light that you should get, in my opinion. I absolutely recommend this. Now, who should avoid buying this light? You should avoid buying this light if, once you add the V-mount batteries, it's obviously out of your budget. You should avoid buying this light if you don't really need the IP rating and you don't really need the big yoke and you need it to be somewhat more portable or somewhat easier to move. In that case, I would actually recommend you go down to their 300D model, especially if you're a studio photographer. So I did say that this light was great for stills. If you want to just do continuous lighting, you can buy 3 of the 300Ds for just a little bit more than the price of one of these 300 XRs. So if you're looking at it maybe for studio continuous lighting, I wouldn't recommend this model. I'd recommend you go to the model below this. But if you are one of those people that Fotodiox is marketing this light towards, somebody who finds themselves in a broadcast studio or on a professional set, and you need a good quality light that can get pretty bright, it can be IP rated, it can be taken out with V-mount batteries, you understand all those extra costs that are associated with it because you are in the market that they are marketing this toward, I do recommend this light with flying colors. I think you'll be super happy. That does it for today's episode. I thank each and every one of you for watching today. I hope you found this useful. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you found my review to be honest. I try to make my pros and cons fair. I want to make sure that the manufacturers don't see these reviews before you see these reviews. And yes, Fotodiox did send me this light for review, and I do thank them for that. But like all my reviews, they are independent, and my opinions are always going to be my own. If you like this channel, I humbly ask you, click the subscribe button below. And if you like the discussions I have on this channel, I encourage each and every one of you to check out my F11 Photography Podcast, which is available on all major platforms, including Apple and Spotify. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.